Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the DC fan page that has character bios and plot summaries for the story we're about to look. So we are continuing with John Byrne's run on Wonder Woman. This era of the early to late 90s is my favorite John Byrne era of all time. He is quite the ink slinger. I do have a playlist. So Wonder Woman 115 from 1996 is what we're looking at. I started with issue 101, which is his first issue. And so, great cover by Byrne. I love his how he put his signature, and love the ominous. One of the things I just enjoy is his, like I said, is how much black he is putting in on this this work on his Wonder Woman run. So DC's notorious for using fictitious cities, so Gateway City, which I think is supposed to be like San Francisco. So we've got a museum here, and we got this poor guy who should have retired a long time ago, but he's still working because San Francisco is expensive. Although it's expensive everywhere, San Francisco is even more expensive. So, Bert Keppelhofer. One of the things I like about, or that I find funny about John Byrne is when he left X-Men because Chris Claremont is too verbose, he said, and yet John Byrne is even as verbose. I won't say more verbose, but he's as verbose. So, Bert Koppelhofer walks the long, slow circuit he has traversed some 5,000 or 6,000 times in the last 2 decades. Tonight, he will complete the path for the last time. And so he catches these guys here, all in black. And he says, "What are you doing?" And then they hit him with some kind of ray. He's like, "Ugh," and then they shatter him. And this guy says, "Gather the fragments. Hurry, we must be done before sunrise." So, poor Bert. And we get this incredible splash page. God, this is, like I keep saying, this is my favorite version of Byrne. I know a lot of people like the early version, the X-Men version, perhaps the Superman version. He started experimenting with Namor, and I think Namor, after he left and went back to Marvel, I think that Namor period gave way to this, which I find to be his most complete, his most full, to me, his most beautifully it's I think he is hitting at his peak. This is his zenith of his work, is this 1990s era. Like I said, early 90s to late 90s. That included Next Men that is in there. This is after Next Men. He just this ink slinger, this creative force that is John Byrne. Just wow. So, all right. So this is part of Gateway City Police Department. Wonder Woman is saying, "Be careful, champion. We must stop this machine without harming the occupants or the onlookers." So you can see here, John Byrne, man, oh man, he does not waste space. He puts in work. This is Hercules, by the way, although he's calling himself the champion. And these are pants, and these are like, these are, goodness gracious, I forgot what style of pants he is, but these are like long pockets, so they're If anybody knows, you can put it in the comments below. But I don't know what these kind of pants are, but that's what they are. And so Hercules, although he's calling himself the champion, says, "Bah! The rabble came to rob the food warehouse, just as did the miscreants with the machine. Let them pay the price for such actions." So, by the way, it's been 2 days after what happened. Here, you can see here they missed. This is early computer stuff, and you can see that right between the men who moved the world and that, oh, they left a part that they didn't, what would you say, filtered. So, all right, Wonder Woman says, Ordinarily I might agree with you, champion, but after the last few days, these mortals are deserving of a little slack." And so here he he is Herald Champion, erstwhile billionaire, rescue, now gaining a widening reputation as the Superman who calls himself champion. Slang does not fall easily from your lips, Princess. I suggest you avoid it. And so it is a Mark IV Metropolitan Pacification prototype stolen from the police testing grounds 26 hours ago, and containing 3 frightened humans whose sanity has been stretched to the breaking point and beyond. So we got a person here, a person here, and a person here. So, all right, strike left, champion. That side is weakest, says Wonder Woman, and you can see here. God, I love, part of the reason I choose to use digital, I have all these issues, is again, look, I'm able to, unlike other playlists that'll just show you the whole comic book and you can't, this digital allows you to really look at it. So, all right, so Wonder Woman thinks here, once more he makes a cryptic reference to his past. And so sorry, I didn't read this part. Anyway, he had said, "I can see that for myself, woman. I was fighting monsters such as this before you were called forth from the lifeless clay of Paradise Island." So again, this is Hercules, but she doesn't know it yet. He's different. So she says, "Who is this man who calls himself champion? And Aphrodite guide me. Why do I find myself drawn to him?" So there goes that vehicle. And she breaks it in half. Wonder Woman is so cool. I think John Byrne should have stayed in there forever. Although Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang did a great job on the Rebirth. Or no, New 52. So he is brash, arrogant, more than a little conceited, she thinks. Yet I find my heart beating faster and my mouth becoming dry each time I see him. There the monster is defeated, and these inconsequential lives are spared, says Champion. And Wonder Woman says, "No life is inconsequential, Champion. If you would fight at my side, you must learn that simple fact." And he's like, I had thought you to be trained as a warrior, Diana. Such pretty speeches are more the province of diplomats. And so Mike, is it Scar? We'll see here. Wow, that was great, Diana, he says. "Yes, once again, Diana and I have saved your little city and your lives. Hey, listen, Harold, the GCPD was doing just fine for itself before you came along." And Champion laughs. "Ha, I've seen precious little evidence of that. And now, before I take my leave," and he grabs Wonder Woman's arm and kisses her, "I claim a suitable reward for my efforts." And she's like, "Champion, no." So, look at this dude here, like, woo. And of course, Mike is like disgusted by this beautiful panel here by Byrne. There's a YouTube video of him sketching drawing a Cyclops, and he just lightly rendered it and just went off it directly with the marker. He says he normally just does a little bit and then goes straight to ink. So a lot of this, I would love to see the originals because wow, look at this. I love the inking that he's doing with that. And you can see the guys are nobody's paying attention to them. They can make their way out. And she's like, no. As you can see, she's angry about that. She's like, oh. Real quick, it's kind of funny that he adds so much details, but this lasso, it's just so funny. It's the simplest thing, just the line and those little things, but it's so effective. Until we meet again, Wonder Woman. And she's like, oh, she's all smitten. Diana, and then you can see her eyes. And he's like, Mike, Diana, what's wrong with you? He says. So Mike has a bit of a crush on Wonder Woman, but of course, who wouldn't? And she's like, nothing. I must also take my leave. Please attend to the captives as necessary as she flies out. What the heck was that all about? So I thought Wonder Woman was with you. So they're saying because he kind of was looking at a relationship with her. So Mike goes in and they're like, what? Oh, sorry, he goes, Harold Champion, and they're like, what? Harold Champion, I want to know everything we got on him now. Yes, sir, but this may take a while. Things are still messed up from that freeze. And so, no rap sheet, but we do have an extensive I can't say that word. Dossier. He is a multi-billionaire, made all kinds of contributions to police charities over the years. First came to Gateway City in, that can't be right. Well, according to this, Harold Champion first came to Gateway City at the end of World War II when he was 44 years old. So on this panel, since the 80s, John Byrne has been dabbling with digital. These are digital drawings, not on Photoshop. I think he was using a Mac Pro or something like that. It was one of the first early versions before. I mean, Photoshop was out by then. Perhaps it is Photoshop, but it is not the Photoshop that you're used to now. And John Byrne, like I said, since at least the late 80s, has been dabbling with digital. So he's not exactly a novice, even though this does look crude. This is John Byrne himself doing this panel up here. So so we continue from the last time when they said he was in the 40s, and Mike says he sure doesn't look like he's in his 90s. And so here he says, well, did all go according to your plan? The tone of irony fairly drips from your voice, old friend. The recent madness delayed my plan, but yes, the potion worked as you promised me it would. You have known me long enough to recognize the tiniest change of inflection in my voice. It is true, and I could say the same for you. This is not going at all as you wished it. Nonsense. The woman is falling under my spell. In a matter of days, a week or two at most, her legendary iron will be dissolved, and my vengeance will begin its final phase. And he sighs here and says, and I had hoped such thoughts long since set aside. Did you not say yourself that you had made peace with this ancient pain? And he says, I believe that to be the case. It proved to be not. Now leave me be. There's much I need to think about. And Wonder Woman, too much. Again, John Byrne here doing this in that mid-90s digital Photoshop-ish. I don't know whether or not it's Photoshop. I don't know what he's doing here, but this is Byrne himself. Like I said, he dabbles, as you know, if you've been watching all the videos since 101. He doesn't do this very much, so this man doesn't take shortcuts. So when he's doing this for artistic for an artistic thing. He's not doing it just, to save. Because I bet you this took longer to do than if he just goes bat 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 like he does with most of his backgrounds. So, and again, John Byrne here and here. So with um, that digital thing. So Wonder Woman flies. Oh, by the way, it just looks so cool with her cartoony here and that background. So, um, as if this terrible business of the Sun Eater were not enough to tax even the strongest among us to the limits, this is all so sudden, so overwhelming. I am a princess of the Amazons, and I have been trained since childhood to control my emotions, to be master of my mind and heart. Now a single stolen kiss, and I feel as though it will take every ounce of my resolve to stop me from hurling myself into Champion's arms the next time we meet. Worse, I find myself longing for that meeting, craving Champion's touch as a starving man craves for food as she's going down. I love how powerful she is. Wonder Woman is perhaps even stronger than Superman. I think Wonder Woman is DC's strongest of its heroes. I'm not going to say strongest character, because I do believe Doomsday is pretty strong, and I don't know about Darkseid, but Wonder Woman can go toe to toe with absolutely anyone. So we continue here, and she walks in, and so perhaps Helena Sandsmark is more familiar with these matters than I, if she could advise me. And so she's yelling at her people here. I don't want excuses. I know the last few days have been horrible. We have to put our lives back on track now. And somebody broke broke the seals on those sarcophagi. I want to know who. So everyone's like, what? And she says, is there some problem, Helena? Oh, good morning. Yes, there is a problem. I'm cursed with an incompetent staff that won't even admit to its failings. And this guy here says, that's not fair, Professor. If one of us had broken the seals, we'd fess up, but none of us did. Don't insult my intelligence, Byrne. I may be the youngest person to ever hold this position, but I'm far from the stupidest. One of those seals might have cracked and fallen off all by itself, given the age of the sarcophagi, but the terrible cold, but not all three. So, what are these things, Helena? We're not sure, Diana. They were found in crates in the museum's attic about 3 months ago. As near as we can tell, they've been up there since the museum building was completed back in 1884. We brought them down to examine them, and this morning we found the seals broken, says the other guy. And you think the ancient seals might have crumbled when exposed to the freezing effects of the Sun Eater's presence, says Diana. That's one unlikely explanation, Diana. At least the cold may have served to reduce any damage that might have been done to the contents by any air leaks. And this woman comes in and says, Professor Sandmark, there's an urgent call for you. And she says, take a message, can you, Jenna? I'm right in the middle of something. And she says, but it's Bert Keppelhofer's wife, Professor. She's absolutely frantic. And she says, oh, very well, I'll speak to her. Diana, have a look at those seals, would you? Maybe your years as a crime fighter will tell you something. And Wonder Woman says, I'll be glad to look at it, Helena. But for something approximating detective work, you might be better served by someone like the Batman. And this guy's like, Batman, you know him? Don't you, Wonder Woman? So, please, call me Diana. Do you have a magnifying lens handy? And the guy's like, right here. My eyes did not deceive me. Some of the remaining fragments of the seal show clear indication of having bent outwards. Whoever broke these seals did so from the inside. And she says, wait, don't. And they're like, holy, there's nothing there. Not quite nothing. Observe the interior walls of the coffin. It can't be. It can't be. That looks like printed circuitry. Circuitry? In a sarcophagus that looks at least 3,000 years old? Yes, unlikely. And yet, Zeus, what on earth was that? After you hear that eek. So someone was screaming. So that's awesome. There are just not too very many writer artists out there anymore. You've got John Byrne, and he's been around forever. You got Walter Simonson, and that's about it. Not very many um, writer penciler out there. For the most part, even people have been drawing a long time, like John Romita Jr. has never really gone into writing. Dave Gibbons has done some writing. However, I don't think he's ever drawn anything he writes. He writes for other people. He's never uh, written anything. And Alan Davis tried it for a while. There was a period of time where he was writer and artist in the late 90s. I think he had a Wolverine graphic novel that he did. He took over X-Men. He took over Excalibur as writer penciler. And he's dabbled here and there. So I'll give him credit. So we got Alan Davis. That's three. Um, is there anybody else? Um, I mean, Jack Kirby did it in the 70s, but I never really considered Jack Kirby a writer. Heck of a plotter, though. Um, Gosh, I don't think anybody really writes anymore. Um, and Todd McFarlane, I love Todd McFarlane. I love his art. He's a terrible writer. I'm just gonna say that. So, all right. So Wonder Woman goes in and says, "What happened?" And this person goes, "Wonder Woman," and she says, "There on the floor under that case, Hera and Athena. That looks like a finger, human form from the look of it, but." I thought there was something odd about it. The guy's examining it now, so we're kind of moving. Um, and I've examined some pretty grisly remains in my ears with this department, but I've never seen anything like this. What is it, Morris? It's edges of the specimen, Mike. They don't look cut or torn. If I didn't know any better, in fact, I'd be inclined to say they look broken. And so now we're in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge, which is a big city, but it's acting like this is in the country somewhere. So, all right. So this is what I mean about Byrne. This guy gives you a perfect construction to let you know. I mean, he could easily have designed this in such a way that he didn't have to draw all these things, but he did. So I mean, um, so this lady here says, use the terrible. Oh, sorry. You've got to do something, Polly. You use the terrible things happening in the last week as an excuse to put this off. But now you've got to get yourself to a hospital. And so Polly here says, and how would I afford such a treatment, Beulah? Even were even were I prepared to submit to it. And this other one says, there's more going on than just some unexplained illness, isn't there, Polly? You know I'm sensitive about such things. And Polly interrupts and says, I know, Angelica, you have the gift of seeing, untrained and undeveloped, but nonetheless powerful. And I've known there was more to you than you were willing to let on since old Ephraim brought you here from the mission and asked Mama to give you a place to sleep. And so Polly says, you have shown me real kindness, all of you, and I have repaid you with secrecy and evasion. For that I'm truly sorry. If you wish, I will depart now and trouble you no further with my problems. And so the old lady says, now you just hush that talk right now, Polly. What kind of Christian house would this be if... Oh. And as he touches her, and the other girl says, Mama, what is it? And you can see Polly looks all sad. Polly, your shoulder, it's like touching a piece of stone. Yes, I have already lost most of the feeling in that arm and my legs below the knees. The malady is progressing rapidly. At least that seems to be the case, since I have no previous experience of this condition. It is quite possible it is moving with merciful slowness. So she opens that window. My greatest fear now is for my sisters who might likewise be affected. and for the daughter who I fear cannot warn of this impending doom. So this appears to be Hippolyta, Wonder Woman's mother. So back at that museum here, man, I never knew how spooky this place could be at night, Diana. And Wonder Woman's Wonder Woman says, I have seen so many strange things since I left Themyscira. It is something hard for me to remember what is unsettling to others. And Mike says, I'm beginning to think that this is some kind of wild goose chase. Anyway, Diana, Morris must have messed up his DNA charts or something. That couldn't have really been a human finger. And here above, you can see these creatures looking. Perhaps not, but it troubles me that it should have been discovered in one of the rooms the now missing Bert Keppelhofer would have patrolled on his nightly rounds. Wouldn't they just have said the night guard or something? And so the guy here with the horn says, "Who are they?" I guess the goat guy. And this here, would this be the mouse? Whoever they are of no consequence. And so, we've lost enough time while this planet froze. We can brook no further delay. 40,000 years has been more than enough. And so, you can see here, they go to shoot him, and she's like, down. Holy cow, some kind of freezing ray. It's not starting all over again. So, I forgot to mention that event, it's not something that we've covered. They're talking about Final Night, which was a 4-issue limited series by uh, Carl Carl Story, I think, and Carl Kiesel, and Stuart Immonen. It was a 4-issue limited series, kind of like a crossover event. And so that is where that freeze is. It's nothing that we missed in Wonder Woman. So, all right. And Wonder Woman jumps up and says, no, this is something new and different. Zeus, men in animal masks. And the goat guy says, no, stop her. And the rat guy says, she's too swift for me to aim properly, as he misses. And so she punches the. Well, is that a rat? I think it's a rat. What language are they speaking? It is like none I have ever heard. And as she punches him, that was flesh and bone I struck. They're not wearing masks. So the goat guy is getting away. Not so fast, my friend. There are questions you must. And suddenly she's like, no, another earthquake. Um, and so John Byrne's illustrating the earthquake by just kind of shifting the panel here. Um, to the roof, Bass has given us a chance to make our escape. So, but at what cost? He does not know the precise formula for triggering the tectonic effect. And the goat guy says, unimportant. At this stage, only when we begin the in earnest will precise manipulation be necessary. And so they go up here and hurry, the one called Wonder Woman is right behind us. And so they form this jet thing and take off, and Wonder Woman is going after them. Swift your strange craft may be, but not so fleet as to elude one who possesses the speed of Hermes. That would be Mercury for you Roman people. So, where, as that ship also goes invisible. Diana, listen to this. Mulligan, say again. What? I said the reports are flashing in from all over the country. The planet shifted nearly a mile. The whole crust of the Earth just rotated. As it did the other day, I had very nearly forgotten, confronted as I was with the problem of the Sun Eater and its own global effects. How the heck can something like this happen? I do not know, but I have the disturbing feeling those three strangers had something to do with it. So I love this, a reverse silhouette with the black at top and white on the bottom. So 8,500 miles south of Gateway City. Kick it in. So would this be Antarctica most likely? And so, if you say so, it's worse than expected. They never had a chance with their environmental control systems already taxed to its maximum, keeping out the Antarctic cold. Oh, poor people froze to death. The events of the last week would have left them no hope of survival at all. Will the bodies be safe just covered with ice blocks like that? Yes, Bulldozer. There is no predators in Antarctica. They'll be fine until we can retrieve them for transport back to the States. And now I guess we better get a move on it. Yes, the seismologic concentricity patterns put the center of the disturbance in the crust almost directly below us. By the way, if the Earth were to shift like that, it's the end of everything. The tsunamis, the places that would fall into it just would be catastrophic. But it's comics, so love John Byrne using some dry brush right here. Oh, just beautiful. So these three here go. I sure hope the modifications you made to the mole will do the trick. Cave, you were not. You were a bit rushed, and there was no time for a test run. And so, Cave says, "I'm pretty sure we'll be okay, Bull. Christy, monitor the systems at all times. If you see any hint of leakage," and she says, "I'm on it, Cave." So Cave, Bull, and Christy. Christy doesn't get a code name, so. Then stand by. We haven't seen any real action in quite some time. And so down they go. And I have a nasty feeling this may be the greatest danger we've faced in all adventures inside the Earth. So that concludes our story here. Wonder Woman 115 by John Byrne. Great artist, great writer. I love him. So, like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.